Lonely Monk Productions. I don't know if y'all have watched a Philly special Christmas special yet, but yo,
that's my Jawn! Hey yo, displace the guilt.
What's good, friends and family, neighbors near and far? Welcome to an all-new episode of the Yo, That's My Jawn podcast. The podcast, website, brand, movement, way of life dedicated to the embrace and championing of your passions. I am your host, Nate Runkle, aka the guy who sees you drenched coming in from the rain and is compelled to say, a little wet out there? AKA Nate 3.0. Back at it again with yet another episode of the podcast. As always, I hope this podcast finds you all in good health and in good spirits. On today's episode, I am joined by Gina of the band Velvet Rouge. We cover a lot of stuff: her music, her band, being a contestant on The Voice, and so much more. Super driven and a great conversation, and that is coming up in a bit. But first, ahoy hoy, my friends. Hope you've all come out of your turkey comas. I had a super busy weekend editing the latest episode of Oops All Bards, available now wherever you get your podcast from. It has really been scratching a creative itch that I didn't know needed to be scratched, but cutting a narrative with multiple characters, it's bringing back all those old filmmaker feelings in me. I don't know. I mentioned it up top how driven I find Gina to be, and it's truly inspiring. She knows what she wants, and she is manifesting and making it happen. I don't know that I have ever figured out one thing I've wanted. Did I want to be an author, a filmmaker, a musician, a podcaster? I've been all over the place. But what drives me? What do I want? I don't know. To this day, I still don't know. But what I can say is that podcasting has brought me some of my greatest professional joys that I have ever achieved. Things that I never even dreamt possible. And it's all just me interviewing people I admire, like Gina today. I don't know if I ever mentioned it here or not, but I was a Tonight Show obsessive when I was growing up. I was obsessed with Johnny Carson. And I don't know that I ever tuned in for the guests or really even knew who the guests were at that age. But what I did know was that Johnny Carson was the coolest, funniest person I saw on TV. And I wanted to be him. And it's wild, but somehow I'm kind of doing that, hosting a show and interviewing people. So maybe this is what I want to be. Maybe all of that other stuff has led me here to a realization that all I ever wanted to do was to sit in a small space of time and just pick people's brains and find out what drives them. And in turn, that is what drives me. Weird and wild stuff. So I'm just going to keep doing this, no matter how many times my brain says, why do you put so much time into this, so much effort? For what? Well, this is for what? To chat with people who inspire me, like Gina. And as long as y'all keep listening, I'll be fulfilling that dream of my youth. One way you can help me keep doing this is by jumping on the Linktree and signing up for the mailing list. Visit www.yothat'smyjawn.com for links to the mailing list, merchandise, the webpage with all the old episodes, and more. We got guest appearances, socials, you name it, it's there. It's like the 30th Street station of the podcast. You can get to anywhere from there. So www.yothat'smyjawn.com. And of course, the socials at Yo That's My Jawn. We're up on all of them, so give it a follow. Dig. Okay, it is ad o'clock. So a brief break and then my conversation with Gina Yo, That's My Jawn is brought to you by Liquid IV. Guys, it is festival season, and you know me, I love a festival, and the secret to enjoying a festival is to stay hydrated. Liquid IV has you covered while you prep before, power through to the headliner, and recover after the weekend. Liquid IV hydrates 2 times faster than water alone with 3 times the electrolytes of traditional sports drinks. Man, I love Liquid IV. It comes in a convenient packaging and it's tasty. When you see me at the XPoNential Music Festival this fall, you know that I will have Liquid IV on me. And it comes in 12 delicious, refreshing flavors to keep your hydration routine exciting. All right, strawberry used to be my favorite, but they have this new one. It's strawberry lemonade, and it is a banger. One stick of Liquid IV in 16 ounces of water hydrates you 2 times faster and more efficiently than water alone. It's non-GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. Liquid IV believes that equitable access to clean and abundant water is the foundation of a healthier world. So Liquid IV partners with leading organizations for innovative solutions to help communities protect both their water and their futures. To date, Liquid IV has donated over 39 million servings in 50-plus countries around the world. Okay, and you can get 20% off when you go to liquidiv.com and use the promo code YTMJ at checkout. That's 20% off anything you order when you shop Better Hydration today using the promo code YTMJ at liquidiv.com. Do it, and let's get our fests on. My guest today is a singer, songwriter, designer, former contestant on NBC's The Voice, and a voting member of the Grammys. As the lead singer of the band Velvet Rouge, she has performed at an eclectic mix of Philly's music venues, including a sold-out show at Johnny Brenda's, Brooklyn Bowl, and World Cafe Live. In 2022, the band was voted Best Rock Band in Philly by PHL Live and were named Philly's Hottest Rock Band by Philly Style magazine. Folks, it is my honor to welcome to the show, Gina Zoe. Ladies and gentlemen, I am joined today by the great Gina Zoe. Gina, thank you for joining me on Yo, That's My Jawn.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much for having me.
So I always like to tell people a little tidbit about what my connection to their music and all. And I have now twice missed seeing you guys play live. The first time was back in May at the Grape Room when you were playing with Andorra and Jamie and the Guarded Heart. Now we have now completed a full set. Everybody has been a guest on this show now from that show, so that feels warm. And then, of course, the XPoNential Music Festival, which is just the biggest bummer in the world, and I'm like still upset about it.
Yes, no, same. Still depressed. But it was obvious that it had to happen. I have a giant, you can't see it, but I have a giant floor to ceiling window in my room, and I woke up that day and just like rotted in my bed. I was just like, okay. It is what it is. I mean, I knew the day before. So they gave me the fair warning. But I just like rotted in my bed and was like, yeah, this is what's happening.
Yeah, it was such a bummer too. Like I look forward to that festival every year, and you guys were definitely one of the artists that I was excited to see. And then, Mother Nature had different plans for us all.
Of course. But I thank you for being excited about us. I mean, that still means something.
Well, good. I'm glad it's worth something. So let's jump in the Wayback Machine. Tell me a little bit about yourself growing up. Where did you grow up?
Yeah. So I grew up in Westchester, Pennsylvania. So really not far outside of the city. I always kind of joke that I just had like your very standard like living growing up. I was pretty much just like your normal suburban child. I went to high school out that way, and I actually transferred high schools to go to a private school to focus on my music career when I was like 14, I guess, or 15, whenever sophomore year is. How old are you? 15, 16? Yeah, something around there. And so I transferred to a private school so I could really focus on my music career. And I mean, performing arts in general. I've been like a dancer my entire life. I've been a competitive dancer my entire life. And so it was kind of, it wasn't necessarily to sing per se, but that kind of ended up being the catalyst of that. And so, yeah, I grew up in Westchester. It was a really lovely upbringing. My parents are divorced, but I have a bunch of brothers. I have 3 brothers. And we're a very musical household. So like it just was always something to be passionate about, because I was growing up with that being like a focus for me and for my family. So yeah, it was a really great upbringing. Yeah.
Yeah. What type of music was like playing around the house?
Yeah. So when I was little, we would go to my grandparents, who at the time lived in Scranton, Pennsylvania. The Office, love that show. Actually, funny story. Whenever we watch The Office at home, my dad like knows all the spots in the like intro that they're like playing, and it's like a running joke that now he's just like, I know that place, because it's actually real footage. But anyway, not the point of this. So we would go to my grandparents, and in their basement they had like a record player. They had a record player, and they would be always playing Fleetwood Mac. And so that was like the main music that I was listening to. My grandfather also loved Nora Jones. So for me, that again has been like, she's been a huge influence. And so was really a focus for me as I was growing up, was that like that style of music, not necessarily jazz, but really like that female led fronting type of situation was really what I was listening to growing up. And then otherwise, I mean, oh my God, I hope my mom does not hear this. Well, she loved the Pussycat Dolls, which I like loved the Pussycat Dolls. Major girl group fan from the early 2000s. And when I hate this part. That's what it's called. When my parents were getting divorced, like that was like her theme song.
Wow.
I don't think I've ever told anyone that. We would like listen to it in the car. I don't even actually know. No, I knew they were divorced by then, or getting a divorce. And so that's always really funny. But yeah, female led for sure was like main focus in my household. My dad loved Jewel. It was all like female led for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. The you guys should work on a Pussycat Dolls cover is what you should do, and surprise her with it.
Oh, they have some like hits. Yeah. I really, really, really love the Pussycat Dolls. And so I'm thinking that you're right. I'm thinking that like I need to jump in there. I miss them. I really miss them. I think they had some like controversy at some point. Like I think one of the girls wasn't happy that she wasn't getting the spotlight. I think they kind of like diminished.
Yeah. It's the tale as old as time.
Yes.
be a girl group, a boy group, be whatever it is. Somebody's going to get the attention, and then somebody else is going to get mad.
Yes.
So you said a very musical household. When did you start kind of playing music? Were you taking lessons early or?
Pretty early. I mean, I was probably 8 when I started playing the piano, maybe like a year younger than that. And so that has like always been my main instrument because of that early introduction. I didn't start playing guitar until probably middle school. But I think what is so interesting, and like when I have a family one day, I want to instill, is like starting instruments super, super young, because piano for me is now such a, like, I'm not a prodigy by any means, but in a more innate type of thing, because I learned it at a time that like I barely have any memories for now. So I was very much, it's like learning a language at that age, I feel like, at least. And so when I was learning guitar, although yes, I was only 14 at that point, like it already was harder for me to grasp how to do that well. And so piano was like my main instrument. And then I really started, I mean, I was singing and dancing. Like my dad would have his like film camera or whatever, video camera, camcorder, and he would be filming me all the time. And I would just like, I loved being filmed all the time. I loved dancing in front of a camera. I loved like shaking my booty around as like just a little like itty bitty cutie adorable pumpkin pie. I loved looking at myself in the mirror. I loved everything that involved like entertaining as a little girl. There's like a family famous story of me at my brother's ice hockey game when I was 10. I just met my step grandparents for the first time, and I'm doing cheerleading routines for them at the ice hockey rink. Like I've always been a performer in some regard. So dancing, I started probably when I was like, as early as I could possibly start dancing. I guess that's probably like 4 or 5, kindergarten time. I've been dancing my whole life. And then again, like I really got singing probably more legitimately in like 6th grade about was when I like really started the singing aspect, and like the songwriting began very soon after.
Yeah. On the dance tip, what was your track? Like what
Everything. I did tap, hip hop, jazz, ballet, point, everything. I did every single thing. And again, like I think it really helped me, but I definitely was not the best. I was not the best out of like my crew. That was never going to be my thing, only because they're much better dancers than me. And I'm totally happy with saying that. I am totally happy with saying that. I'm great at like musical theater dancing. I could do that. But I was just good enough. Like I was able to do competitions and all that good stuff. But yeah, I've always, I mean, I still love dancing, and it's a big part of my performance for sure.
Yeah. So you were talking about when you started writing songs, when you started singing more. What you said, 6th grade, somewhere around there. What were your early songs like? Like what?
It's so interesting because I think I've been a storyteller like my whole life. I'm always like, I would never call myself like a maker-upper of like my own life stories, of course, but I love conjuring up like a good story to write in a song. Or, I always loved writing essays when I was younger. If like we had to do essays for classes and stuff, like that made me excited. And so my early songs, I've also always been very dramatic. And so my early songs were like really gut-wrenching. Like I hate to say they were really good, but I do think that they were really good for being 14. Like it was really shocking. And my drummer still thinks that this one song that we had, it was never like released. But when I was younger and I met him right after I was on The Voice, I had this song called Gone. It's on a CD somewhere. Like I have it. Of course, like the guy who produced it. Like he no longer, of course, has like the recording because it was so long ago, and things just houses burned down. His house didn't burn down, but you know what I mean. You always hear like in a crime story, like they lost the evidence because like the place burned down, of course. Anyway, but I still remember it, and those songs were really good. They were really about love. They were like about falling in love. Meanwhile, I was a child. Also like had never really been in love, but also felt like I had been, because I've been dramatic my entire existence.
Yeah. Well, I feel like I have this standing theory that the best love songs are written by people who have never been in love, because like it's still like a dream. It's still like something that is full of wonder and stuff like that. And by the time you've actually been in love and like deep, honest love, you don't get to write well about it until you lose it. No, that's a really good point. I mean, I think that's so true. And when I think about it, those songs like were for sure like super that like gut-wrenching. Oh my gosh, gut-wrenching. That's not the word. Gut-wrenching excitement over being in love. And now, with you saying that, like I think a lot of my best songs are about things that I don't have per se. Yeah. Yes, yeah. Interesting. We'll get to the bottom of this. So when did you start playing out, like as a kid? Were you playing out in your teens? You said you met your drummer like back then.
Yeah. So I didn't meet him till I was 18, but my very first show. So I I put out this. I made that like I guess you'd call it an EP. I made this like these CDs when I was in high school, and with this producer that I just mentioned. And I'm trying to remember, like I feel like I can't remember like if I put them on a platform, if I just had CDs. I also don't remember what platforms were available at that time. It was like 2011. I don't remember what was around at that time, or like what my friends were using. I think we had like iPods, but I don't remember it being so easy to like put your music just like up on something. At least, again, I don't know.
Maybe I like 2012. Maybe like Reverb Nation, I think, was a big thing back then.
Wait, I'm gonna write this down because I wonder if songs are on there. And I'm gonna send them to you if I can find them. Yes.
Yeah.
No, it was definitely Reverb Nation. I definitely put them on there. Oh God. And I don't think I put them on YouTube. Like, I don't think I did that, but I remember having CDs and I wrote like my name and the title. I don't remember what the title of it was. And then I would put like number 1, Gone, number 2, I don't remember the other names of them, but there was all these like maybe like 5 songs that I did. And I was emailing venues to play at. I'm freaking 14 years old. I forget that I was a hustler. And God bless the booker who booked me at I forget what it's called. It's a venue that's no longer existing, I don't think. It might be now a brewery, maybe in Westchester. And it was the bar that Bam Margera owned.
Oh, the Nail. Nail? Is that it? No. The Note?
The Note. Yes, the Note. And then it
Okay.
became something else later. I don't remember what it became later because the band played it maybe 2018, maybe like somewhere around there. We played again. And that was really fun because Bam was there and I was like, whoa, this is like really cool. But that's a different story. So anyway, I'm 14. I barely can play guitar, frankly. I'm a good singer-ish. Like, again, like I wasn't really trained at that point yet. So I'm mediocre. I definitely have a video of this. And I will send this to you. This is on YouTube. I know for certain. Again, I'm writing it down. Video send of the Note performance. It was definitely the Note. I remember the dress I wore. I had this Urban Outfitters high neck, little short dress. I had my hair in 2 braids with a bun in the back. I don't remember what shoes, but my outfit was really cool. I can't believe I didn't keep that dress. That's insane to me. Maybe my mom has it. And I was opening for a performer or a musician named Ryan Beatty. He's actually like still, I guess he kind of like came back up. I have no idea. He was also like my age. There were tons of girls in the crowd. Like so many girls in the crowd. And like young little, again, like my age, literally my age at the time. So like 14. And my point of saying God bless the booker is that I'm like, dude, I should never have opened. And I'm pretty sure the booker got fired. Not necessarily because of me, but I think she was doing things like this. Like she wasn't checking in about like who she was actually booking.
Yeah.
So, super excited over here, though. It was like the best. It was one of the best moments of my life. I was so excited. I was so young. And I don't even know if I was scared. Like, I remember just being like, whoa, this is really cool. Like, I should not be allowed to do this. I had my blue Strat. It's like over in the other room. And the strap fell off mid-performance. Oh, my God. But it was so cute because everyone cheered. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a rant here, but
I love it.
I remember like every moment about this show because it was my very first show. And I didn't play shows again for like, honestly, until I was on The Voice for no reason other than I got very into like the school choir and the musical theater and all that stuff. So like my priorities just kind of shifted. But I was always writing music for sure.
Yeah. You mentioned musical theater there. And any shows of note? I'm a musical theater nerd, so
yeah. Oh, well, I love that. Yes, I mean, they were my high school plays, of course. So, take that as you will. But I was Cinderella and Cinderella. I was the Wicked Witch and the Wizard of Oz. And actually, when I was on The Voice, they made me do the cackle for my audition, which is like quite embarrassing.
Oh, geez.
Quite embarrassing. Not on it was like one of the first auditions that are like pre-camera, and it was very funny. And then my first year at that school, I was like something random. Like it was The Sound of Music. I was like made number 5.
Yeah. Okay. For me, I was in a production of Sound of Music, but I was just a dinner party at the during the dance scene. And,
aren't we all?
Oklahoma, I got that under my belt.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh,
love some Oklahoma.
Oh, theater is like the best. I remember I I saw Cinderella, and I think it was when Keke Palmer was Cinderella. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
It was like forever ago. Or maybe she was about to be. I don't remember who exactly it was, but like it was right before I was Cinderella at my school because I wanted to like watch another person do it. But it's funny. I never really felt, I don't know about you when you were doing theater like throughout your life. I never really felt like I connected with the theater community though, because especially in high school, they like the stereotype is kind of true. Like they're a bunch of like adorable, nerdy kids who want to sing all the time. And everyone always laughs at me now because I honestly, like, I do listen to music, of course, but I'm not listening a lot because I'm exhausted from hearing things all the time. And so I never really felt like I fit in with like the campfire kumbaya vibe.
Yeah, sure. Well, it is funny you mentioned that because like we had like two groups in our theater and like the main group, which was like the kind of people that the director and the teachers all liked, the as I would like to call them, kiss asses. They were the ones who were always so extra and doing, like you were saying, always singing and stuff like that. And then we had like the derelicts who I was a part of and stuff like that. And it's really funny because the ones that are still doing it now today and the ones that are successful at it were in my group, not theirs. So
I believe it. I believe it.
Right.
I believe it for sure.
But, with this in your background, I am going to take mental note because I have this grand plan sometime in the future. It's not going to be anytime soon that I want to put together a Yo, That's My Jawn sponsored production of the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Oh my God, love. I'm in. Just call me.
All right, we'll do.
I'm in.
And literally, it's just an excuse because I've always wanted to play Brad Majors in a production of Rocky Horror and no one will cast me. So I'm just going to do it myself.
I'm dead. That's like the producers who like cast themselves like in their own movie type of situation.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a very Tarantino move. I'm not going to pretend it's anything other than that. So, you've mentioned The Voice. How did that audition process, was it did you go to an open call or were you kind of scouted?
Yeah. So when I was in high school, I remember I was like on a choir trip. My mom had consistently for the last, like at this time, I was 17, for like the 6 months before was like, you need to audition for like a show, like an American Idol or The Voice or whatever it might be. And I was always so anti like doing any of that for no reason other than wanting to like achieve success myself and not have like a show like that to do it, which had no validity to it other than like, I'm 17 and I just like want to do things myself. And so my mom had kept asking me, how do you do it? Let's do it, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no. And then I'm on a choir trip and I forgot my permission form. And again, this is how dramatic I am. I forgot this permission form. My teacher yells at me, whatever. I'm still going on the freaking trip. And I'm like, I'm going to show her, I'm going to audition for The Voice. Like that's how my mental like state went. Again, super, super dumb and dramatic, but like, because in the grand scheme of things, the percent chance that I was even going to get past like the first round is like so slim. It's minuscule. Like there was no possibility in my mind that I was even going to do that. So I'm driving. I'm going to give you the full play-by-play because it's just like a funny story. So I applied to do the open call in New York City. So there's like, in total for The Voice, I think every year it's probably like 500,000 people who audition around the country. Mine probably had like 100,000 because it's like New York City. Let's say it was somewhere around that line. I'm waiting in line like all day to do this. And on the way up, mind you, I had my song picked. I sang an Ingrid Michaelson song and I was on my way up. I'm like practicing with my mom in the car. And she's like, why are you doing that song? And I'm like, freaking out. It's like, what do you mean? And she's like, why don't you do like a Sarah Bareilles song? And I'm like, no. And I had in my mind, everyone does this. And I'd heard Simon Cowell, who's not on that show, but heard him say, everyone does Adele. Like, everyone does Adele. Like, stop trying to do songs that everyone's doing. So, like, this is my whole thing. I'm doing this. I go to my audition. They put you in a room of like 10 people. And I sing the Ingrid Michaelson song because I'm like, Mom, I'm not doing this right now. And I'm the only person in my room to get through the first round. So I'm like, okay. And afterwards, they say, you're going to come back to New York tomorrow, and you need to do a callback, basically. And you need to have like 4 songs prepared for this. Okay. I go back. This time I'm for a producer of The Voice. So it's like the talent scout and the producer. I think that's who it was. And I'm being screened. So now they're taking videos for like the rest of the producers. So I do my callback, and I do a screening, and they're like, yes, okay, you're through to the next round. So at that point, now you now wait for a phone call to see if they're going to fly you to LA. So I'm waiting weeks. I get the phone call. I'm invited to LA. You do another callback in LA for like, let's call it like 40 producers. And you have 2 more songs. And then at that point, now you go through the blind audition round. So that was my like journey to get to the stage. I was not scouted. No one knew who I was at all.
It's awesome. That's incredible. Yeah. The strength of the talent itself. I love to hear it.
Yes, it was really, really cool because again, I just didn't think that I was like I don't want to say that I was good. Like I suspected I was good, but I just didn't know like the capacity of not only my skill, but just like my personality, and what that actually would be the thing that sold me over just my voice, because I'm not, the best singer in the entire world. But I have some kind of factor that like drives people to be intrigued by me as an artist. And I think that that's what like got me to where I was on the show.
Yeah. You ended up on Team Blake. Did you ever get to like kind of talk to him to ask him like what exactly it was that he definitely saw or wanted from you? Or
I mean, medium level. I think when you're on the show for just like, I was only 2 episodes. So when you're on the show for just a couple episodes, you do get time with the coaches, but it's all filmed at that point. It's no private time. And so it's kind of hard for me to remember exactly, but I think what kept him like excited again was my ability to perform. He was the only coach that turned for me. And, he was like, you guys missed like the entire performance. Like this was a performance. It was not just her singing. And again, I think that that's what my voice was not as strong as it is now. But I think that if they were all facing me at the time, the story would have been a little bit different. But I think it was just, I don't actually know why he initially turned. I've been told that sometimes I sound a little like Gwen Stefani, and he had just started dating her. So I also wonder if like that has something to do with it. He's like, ooh.
That's awesome.
So maybe, I don't know. That's a complete guess, but that's also part of it, maybe.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So, there's a time in a life, and it's usually right around that time where people start to lack confidence in themselves. What kind of confidence boost is that for you? Like at that point, like,
oh my God,
could you see yourself? I know it's a dumb question. I always ask these dumb rhetorical questions, but like, could you see yourself still doing what you do now with the drive that you have without that experience?
That's a really good question. And it's not a dumb one at all. At all. I think at the beginning of my career after The Voice, I essentially like there's like little gappings here. So I was signed to a label for a couple years, and then I took a few years off, and then I am now in like the period that I'm in right now. So just for reference of this, I think when I first started, when I was signed to the small label right after I got off The Voice really mattered them. It was like really, really a really great thing to have. I also think it was at the time, it was pre-pandemic. like much pre-pandemic. I think it was like 2016 to 2018 abouts. I think it was at a time when those shows were still important to people. And I say that also, though, in terms of the fact that they were no longer, I think, now this is, again, I'm not crunching numbers here. I think it was also at a time, though, when the reality was that people only cared at that point for like a very short period of time now about these like success people on these shows. So it wasn't like when Carrie Underwood was on American Idol and, you know, she goes on to have a flourishing career. The idea of these people winning the shows now at 2016 to 2018, people just like watching the show. I don't think they really cared about you post show. So my point is, it was, people thought, bookers thought it would be a marketing situation. And so it would help me get to where I wanted to be. However, I don't think it was as like quintessential as people would want it to be. And so now, looking now, I think it's more of a tool to add to my toolkit of just like, hey, here's all the things that I've done. And I was on The Voice. So I get like a little extra boost of like people don't get on the show that are The Voice, especially that are awful singers. Like everyone's really good. And so I have that extra like, oh, people think in the industry she's really good. So that's a good sign. I think it's more now of that rather than like, no, I pretty much refuse for any like show to market me as like The Voice contestant. I don't want that.
Absolutely.
It's just not helpful at this point, at least in my career. And I've just had great accolades that like just have better perception, I would say. So I would say more it's helpful professionally for sure than personally with my audience.
Gotcha. Yeah, it makes sense. So you mentioned the label and then the label period and then the break. During that 2-year break, was it just a reset, or was there any point where you were like, maybe I don't do this?
Yeah. So it's kind of a mix of things. I was signed to this label, and then I was just like over it at that point. I wasn't doing what I wanted to do. I wasn't really progressing musically. I was also in college. So I just felt like at that time, like I was hustling for no reason because I wasn't even doing it the way that I would want to do. And there's always a variety of reasons, but when you're 18 and you sign like any kind of contract, of course, like there's going to be things that like don't end up being the way that you want them to be because you're 18 signing a contract. Like clearly. Okay. So I did that whole thing and then it wasn't for me. The contract eventually ended and I was so burnt out. Like mentally, I was so burnt out. I just wanted to go to school and I wanted to be normal and I didn't want to do music anymore. I literally was not even like singing during that time. I was not songwriting. I was not singing. I wouldn't even talk about it. My therapist is so funny because she met me during that period, or she started being my therapist during that period. And she always makes it a point to be like, you would never talk about music. And it was a very touchy subject for me at the time. So while yes, it was like I don't think I'll ever go back to it. It was like a resting period. Yeah. And it was in the pandemic when I decided to do it again. I was in a relationship that I was kind of like bored by at that point. And so I think it was like something to make me a little more like excited again. And I was like, this sounds like fun type of thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. So when you came back and you guys started as Zoe, right? Is that right?
Yeah. So we decided we hated the old music as Gina Zoe. Like we didn't like what was under my name, and I didn't own my rights to my masters, so like I couldn't just like get the music off of the internet per se, because I didn't have the rights to it. So with that, Gina Zoe name underneath, and then we hated that. So we were like, let's do Zoe because I still want it to be tied to my name. issue with that, not very searchable. So we were like, okay, we got to come up with a band name. Like, this isn't working anymore. We need to figure out a band name, or we need to go back to Gina Zoe. The Gina Zoe thing, it's me as an artist, but it didn't feel like it was connected because of the old music that just like did not relate. And frankly, I didn't want people to listen to, not because it was super shitty, but it just was like not what I wanted.
It's
it just
not
like,
where you're at. Yeah.
It just didn't fit anymore. And so, yeah, that's why we decided overall that we like needed a name, because like nothing was lining up properly. And when we changed our name, like everything started to make sense.
Yeah. So here's a question for you, and it's another dumb one. How many people mess up and flip Rouge and Rogue? Because I can't tell you how many times I've, even typing it, I'm just like, son of a bitch, I did it again. Like,
no, that's okay. A lot of people, even my friends. I have a friend, a pretty close friend, who still says Velvet Rogue, and I just don't even correct them. It's just not worth it.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, like, people, it's not that they're misspelling it. They just don't know how to say it.
Oh.
And so they're typing it right. They're just not saying it right. So no, you were not the first person. And it's not a silly question, because it does happen. But I think once people like really get it down, they're fine with it. And it's not even that it's like hard to spell. It's just
right.
It's more like, yeah, a Rogue. But I also drive a Nissan Rogue, so I feel like I make it a joke, which helps the whole situation.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
So I feel like, you guys are kind of just kind of getting stronger and stronger in the releases as they're coming out. Or do you feel like you're at your master form in sound for the band, or do you still see, is there still something that you're waiting, like, it's just there, but it's not, like I sense so much more, like.
No, I think that's a really good question. There's definitely more coming in terms of the style. We are currently working on our EP that we're recording in like 3 weeks. And so what I will say about your question is basically, no, I don't think we're there yet, but I think people are really going to get an understanding, and we're going to be in like some of our best form with this EP. So yes and no. I mean, it's produced by the same person, so it's going to have a similar vibe to our previous records. However, they are a little more sonically cohesive. And that's like been one of our main focuses. So yes and no. I'm never going to say that we're like at our mastered form, because I just think we're going to keep growing. And the music just keeps getting better and better. And we're learning how to write together. Like, that's always one of the hardest things, I think, is as a band, learning how to like write a quality song. Like, we have good songs and they keep getting better, but that writing process can be so difficult, because I really want to start taking drum lessons next year, because my thing is I often don't know how to articulate. Like, I can clearly hear the drum beat in my head.
Yeah.
But I don't know how to go over to the kit and like tap out the beat to just a basic. Like, I'm like, "Budagaga," and he's like, what the fuck is that? And I'm like, no, like, it makes sense. And my guitarist, Joe, he's really good at, he used to play drums when he was super little, but he's pretty good at like telling it how to do it. And then I'm always like, it's the floor tom, but it's not actually the floor tom. It's like it's the, I don't even know. It's not ever the snare that I'm confusing, but there's like a couple different toms. And then I'm like, okay, that's wrong. And then it's the wrong crash. And I just don't really, I'm really, really good at like the hand signals. Like, I've gotten good at hand signaling about like, okay, like lower, and they can read my mind in that point. But yeah, the songwriting's getting better, and it's going to keep growing. Our producer, Brian McTeer and Amy Morrissey, they just keep thinking that like the songwriting's getting better. So that's always a positive.
That's incredible. I love to hear it. The you got you mentioned it's an EP. I have this conversation mostly with younger musicians. Do you guys hate albums? What's up? You
That's so funny. No. We definitely don't hate albums. Love an album. Because I'm a front to back listener of albums. Like, I will take the time to listen to an entire album for sure. What I will say is there's like, for our band, I can't speak for every band. There's like just a few factors. Number one, it's super expensive to record a full album. That's like the main one. But regardless of if we had the money, it's like, what is the cost to the return on investment? Like, it's just like, most people are not listening to front to back albums anymore. So an EP just kind of keeps them like a little closer to us and like allows us to grasp it in a little harder. And I've been releasing singles. I've only been doing singles, but basically we work with a radio company and they were like, yeah, you got to do a longer project because we need to be able to like grow. Sorry, I thought you were so still. Oh. I thought you were frozen. I was like, oh my God, he's frozen again. I was like, should I keep going? Basically, they were like, you need to do a longer project because we need to be able to like roll out properly. I mean, that's a big part of it for sure. And people are excited. They hear you're doing a longer project and they think you're releasing like, I don't even know, like a gold disc to them. It's so funny how excited people get. It's so lovely. I really, really enjoy that part too about it.
Yeah, I joke about the do you hate albums? Like I all that totally makes sense. And actually, to be honest, I don't even know why anyone would, as much as I'm an album file, but the way that people listen to music anymore, I don't know why anyone would release an album because, and even people who put albums out, like I feel like they don't even spend time living in it anymore. Like it's just like on to the next one once it's out.
Yeah,
and that like. It's just, to me, it's just not sustainable. Like you can't do that. Like you
totally.
spend some time with it. Like, or even like, this Friday, it'll be in the past. Last Friday, the Amos Lee's putting out this Lucinda Williams cover album, and I'm like, didn't you just release an out? Like, what are we doing? Why are you saturating the market with all this stuff? But like, you have to do it because no one goes back anymore. It's like what's out now, and then what's out next week.
Totally. And I guess I always wonder. For example, I know every Taylor Swift song front to back. I'm just going to say it now. I'm obsessed. I'm a big fan. And I feel like her choices are generally pretty calculated, but you do wonder with, I don't want to use Amos Lee as like an example because I don't know why he's doing this for doing another album like close by, even if it's a cover album. But I get most excited about the albums that are like super concept driven. So if you're releasing like super back-to-back amounts of stuff, I would just hope that it's super concept focused, rather than, like you're saying, just like an extra like hit on people's radars. And I think that that's where like a lot of people get messed up. Like everything should have a purpose. Like you shouldn't just be like, oh, these are the last 10 songs I was super excited about. And again, this could be different for everyone. But I think people just think they need to keep shooting in the dark, but actually people, I think, get the most excited when like you have a story and like something to like throw into it and get them super excited about it too. So I totally get what you're saying. And I definitely agree. Unless you're doing a concept or like you have like a really strong reasoning of the album, any project really, like that's like should be your main focus and like how you should be releasing, in my opinion. I'm not a superstar yet, but that's my opinion.
Oh yeah. Also, I love the yet. That's what I want to hear. That's what
of course. Oh, I'm always a yet gal. I'm always a yet gal.
So you got a new single coming out. It'll be this week, right?
Yes.
29th?
Yes. 29th. Yes. It's a double single, so it's going to be 2 songs. And they're really just songs that not only do I adore them, but they kind of just like close the chapter on our last set of music, honestly. I was just talking to some of my industry friends, and they were asking me, tell us about like your new aesthetic, because you keep talking about this whole new thing, a whole new way of being, basically. And that's the whole thing about these songs is I feel like over the last couple of years, I've been in this very much state of like, I'm not really going to do this, but kill all men type of vibe.
It's fair. It's fair.
Like, yeah, honestly,
it's
like maybe, like maybe you should.
Respect.
I'm dead. You're a good man when like you're like, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it makes sense.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, you're like, I get it. But so I feel like I've been in this state of being mentally that is like, I hate all men. I don't want to deal with that, which probably has something to do with I came out bisexual personally beginning of the year, mid-year, like publicly, I guess you could say. And so it probably had a little bit to do with that of just like, oh my God, every man freaking sucks. And like, I'm not even like taking in my real sexuality at that time. And so over the last 6 months, the writing has really transformed into, I don't want to say something more mature because I feel like I've been mature, but it's just become something that's a little more, relatable, honestly. Like, of course, yes, a lot of women are like, oh my God, kill all men. Like, I can't do this anymore. But it's just not angry anymore. It's just more like, yeah, this is how life is. Here's like what I think about existence. Here's what I think about dating. Here's what I think about the music industry. Here's all the things. And here's like my polished outtake on, I'm sorry, not outtake, outlook on what is going on. So I actually can't remember what, oh, you're asking me about the singles. So the singles are very aggressive. It's called Drunk and Lonely. And the other one's called FMK, which is for Fuck, Marry, Kill. And so they're very like aggressive, fun. And really, really, again, it's Brian and Amy. So really, really well produced. And they close the chapter. Like they close the chapter of being an angry 26-year-old. I was 25 at the time, I guess. So 25-year-old gal. Like we've just moved forward.
Yeah. Well, and I think like, you mentioning coming out, not just personally, but publicly,
Yeah.
And professionally and, in song or whatnot. But it's almost like you kind of unlocked something there and kind of granted yourself permission to be kind of real and honest instead of like kind of presenting something. So it's exciting. This is where the magic comes from. Like this is the stuff I dig, man.
Yeah, totally. And I think with you saying that like the professionally, publicly and all of that, I think I was really going through this whole thing of like, I love to like dress very like sexy and fun and I'm dancing on stage. And I think with all these songs that are like so angry, it's led people to think that I'm more attainable than like the reality is. And so I'm excited to be able to grab at people in a different way than I was before. Although of course I will still sing like a lot of those like fun, sexy songs. But it's going to be different. So I'm excited. Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm excited for you. What's the target date for the EP? Sometime next year?
Yeah, like March, probably around like late March, early April is like about the timing. The singles will begin probably late January. So,
okay.
So we'll start.
How many songs?
It's going to be between 5 and 7.
Okay.
We're kind of just figuring out those like last little kinks, but probably 5. I think it's going to be 5.
Awesome. I love it. Nice, tight, concise. I dig it. I absolutely dig it. And I can't wait to hear it. At this time, you want to go through my standard questionnaire. This is how I close out every interview with the same questions. It's called the Jawntlet, and it starts with the one-hit wonders. And it starts with Billy Joel or Elton John. Who do you prefer?
I'm going to say Elton John. Just performance level is like, I mean, Billy Joel is an incredible performer. Do not get me wrong, but I'm all about the razzle dazzle. So.
I dig it. Debbie Harry or Joan Jett?
Joan Jett.
Definitely. I saw that one coming.
I mean, yes, one of my best friends is a Joan Jett, multiple Joan Jett tattoos. So she's like, and that friend is my icon, and we've done Joan Jett covers. So yeah.
Hardcore. I dig it. Aretha Franklin or Tina Turner?
Okay. That's also very, very hard. I'm going to say Tina Turner. One of my first dances ever when I was younger was to, I can't remember which Tina Turner song it was, but it was to a Tina Turner song. And again, incredible dancer, performer, and all those things.
I love it. Nirvana or Pearl Jam?
Oh my God. Okay. It's definitely Nirvana, but big Pearl Jam fan. But pretty easily Nirvana for me.
Okay. That's fair. Janis Joplin or Stevie Nicks?
Stevie Nicks.
Saw it coming. Like it was written in.
Janis Joplin also amazing. Like you're kind of comparing people that like too close for comfort here, but yeah, Stevie Nicks.
Okay. The big cliche one, the Beatles or the Stones?
The Stones.
Yes. Hell yeah. All right. Yeah. I dig it. And the final one of the one-hit wonders, Bohemian Rhapsody or Stairway to Heaven?
Bohemian Rhapsody. I just think it's one of the most like chaotic, iconic pop songs. And it's just every section of it is so different and insane than before. So yeah, definitely that one.
Awesome. Second half of the Jawntlet is the top 10 countdown. In this, we use Jawn to be whatever you want it to be. Doesn't have to be music. Could be anything. Number one, what was your first Jawn? What was the first thing you were obsessed with as a kid?
Wait, I love this so much. Okay, first thing I was obsessed with as a kid, Tamagotchis.
Yeah? Do you still have one?
No, but I know you could still buy them. But
yes.
Tamagotchis for sure, and that's actually making me want to ask for one for the holidays.
Yeah, I think last Christmas, I got my wife one for Christmas, and yes.
Oh my God! Okay, so it's still definitely a thing. Okay, I'm gonna get one. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Number two, what's your current Jawn? What are you into right now?
Hold on, let me sit with this. Okay, I got a Breville. Is that the name of it? Coffee maker. And I'm big into making coffee. So Americanos are my current Jawn.
I love it. Good answer. Number three, what was your first concert? What was the first live show you ever saw?
Hannah Montana.
Nice. Very nice. Was this the Best of Both Worlds tour or was this?
Yes, it was.
Oh, brilliant.
Yes. So I saw Miley Cyrus too, but I was a little more focused on Hannah Montana at that time.
It's really funny you bring that up because I literally wrote down a note because I read an old interview where you said that you felt like Hannah Montana in
yes.
that there were the two sides. A little hidden secret about me is I was a big fan of that show because I like 3-camera sitcoms. Like I was like when I grew up, like Full House was on and Family Matters and all that, and I always was like, why can't shows be like this anymore? And then like one day, I think what was the first one I watched was it might have been like That's So Raven or something like that. But like Disney I was Channel like, oh, Disney's doing it. So
yeah, totally, they were all really good.
Yeah, and the music was incredible.
So good. So yeah. So I'll start breaking out a song.
I earlier this year I was trying to get Allie and AJ on the show, and we were very close to making it happen, but it fell through, and I was very upset about that.
Also, very big fans of Allie and AJ. I remember their MTV Cribs very clearly.
Very cool. Very cool. Number 4, what was the last concert you saw? Last live show?
Who was it? Oh, this is really hard. Okay. I don't remember. I'm going to tell you who I just bought concert tickets for, like the recent, because I truly can't remember who it was. But I just bought concert tickets to The Lone Below, which is a Philly band, who are coming back to Johnny Brenda's for like their anniversary tour. So I'm doing that. I'm going to that. And then next year I got Taylor Swift tickets finally. So
hell yeah.
Those are my two that I just got tickets for.
Very cool. Very cool. That's a nice 1-2 punch. I like that.
Yeah.
Number 5, what was your favorite concert? Best live show you ever saw?
Okay. Oh God, these are really hard. Best live concert that I saw. Okay. Okay. I have two. Florence and the Machine is astronomically incredible. So talented live. recordings are amazing too. But so that's my number one. And my number two, one of the ones that really inspired me to like be a performer and musician is Zella Day. She's kind of like a rock singer of some kind. And she's a little, not small. She's definitely not a small artist, but she was just like one of my favorites. You should definitely listen to her because she's incredible. And just a cool performer. So those two.
Awesome. I love a good suggestion. I'll definitely check it out probably after we finish this, while it's on top of mind. Number 6, who have you never seen live that you wish you could have? There can be living or dead.
Okay. God, these are really hard. Okay, hold on. I'm thinking. Living or dead? Well, I saw Stevie Nicks live, also incredible. So not her. That usually would have been my answer. You know, I've never seen Maggie Rogers, and I'm also a really big Maggie Rogers fan. And so I think she's definitely on the top of like my list of people to see.
Definitely. I was so bummed I missed her at the Man this summer because like I saw some clips and like just phenomenal. Yeah.
Her. And then also I will say Hosier. Like I've never seen Hosier. He was also at the Man. That's what made me think of it. Another one that I'm like, I can't believe I've never seen you live. Both of them.
Definitely. Good answers. Number 7, name an unappreciated Jawn, something you wish people paid more attention to.
Oh, my unappreciated Jawn. Hold on. You know, this is like random. I was trying to think of like a Philly boutique that I'm like really obsessed with, which I love fashion. I grew up like really into clothing. I'm still into clothing. I wish the New York Fashion Week was a little more like mainstream and that like the guys got hype about it and it was like a watch party. I like kind of wish that was more of a thing. So I'm going to say like luxury fashion, but like the cool kind, not the standard brands, like the really underground, cool designer things.
I dig it. You know, you should find a cool venue that'll accommodate and you should throw the watch
party. Okay. Yes, I actually already know. And I will say now that we're even thinking of this, because I feel like they would do this. Starbull is a new bar in Fishtown. Incredible. It's my new favorite thing. So they're my number 2, I guess. And I feel like they would host. I mean, they're not very fashion focused, but they have a giant screen that they host the football games on. And it's like kind of whatever. You know, if you're listening, you just have to go. It's really cool. And so that's awesome. What we're going to do it.
That's awesome. Do it. I like it. I like it a lot. Number 8, what's your favorite album?
My favorite album that I could listen to just like album focus. Again, I'm gonna say probably the Zella Day album. I think it was a self-titled album. It's green and it has a song called Hypnotic, and I auditioned for The Voice with that song. So the song Hypnotic. So that album is definitely front to back like one of my favorites.
Awesome. Great. Number 9, artist whose output you'll consume anything they put out.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
I know it's standard, but
I got one of the God, now I can't remember which edition it was, but one of the limited 1989s.
I mean, I think I have something here. I have like all my records here, and I have one of hers in here. I think it's Red. I think it's the original Red album. Anything she puts out, I will listen to. It could be the worst ever, and I'm not saying I'm going to love it, but I will at least try.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think she can do worse than that Me song that she did. So it's only up from here.
No, like I get it. Me and my one friend Hunter, he does photography for us. We always joke that like she's really bad at picking her singles. Antihero, amazing single, but she's usually not good at picking like the single. But what I will say though is like, Me was one of the worst. I don't love Shake It Off, but everyone seems to love that song. I just wouldn't have thought it was the best single, but
Shake It Off is great for 2 reasons and 2 reasons only. I'm a DJ by night sometimes. I used to a lot more than I do now. But to blend Shake It Off into Hey Ya with the Shake It Like a Polaroid
makes
picture.
sense.
Brilliant.
Makes sense. Okay.
And 2, It also works as a great blend into Mickey by Tony Basil. So there's my two. There's my two.
There you go.
My two.
Okay, two great reasons to love the song.
Exactly. Number 10. What is your favorite Jawn of all time? Can be whatever you want it to be.
Wiener dogs, for sure.
Yeah?
They're my favorite kind of dog. So yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have a wiener dog or multiple?
Not anymore. I grew up having one. And I just adore. I think they're so cute and ridiculous, and have great personalities. So that is my all-time favorite. I would love to have 1,000 of them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So the double single comes out on Wednesday, the 29th. I got these dates right. I'm trying to do it off dome. And the EP in March. Any shows coming up for the holidays? Or are you taking the rest of the year off or no?
No, we have one more gig. We're playing Arlene's Grocery in New York City on December 16th. And then our next Philly show is going to be March 2nd at Underground Arts. It's our biggest Philly show to date that we're headlining. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Third time's the charm. I'm going to make it. I hope so. If these cool cats,
make it.
I'm going to have to make it. Yes, absolutely. I'll start putting it in the calendar right this second. If these cool cats and kittens want to find your stuff on the internet, what's the best way to track you down?
Yeah. Velvet Rouge Band is like pretty much every single platform. My website is also Velvet Rouge Band. Yeah, no, Velvet Rouge Band. That's what you do. ROUGE is.
See? See, even you do it. No.
I know. I had to think about it. I was like, okay.
That's awesome. Gina, thank you so much for doing this, not just for coming on the show and talking to me, but for making awesome music and putting all your energy out into the world. And I'm so glad we got to have this conversation.
Yes, me too. Thank you so much.
My thanks again to Gina for joining me on the show today. Velvet Rouge has 2 new singles out this Wednesday, November 29th, and will be available on all streaming services. If you want to find out more about the band, you can visit www.velvetrougeband.com and follow them on the socials at Velvet Rouge Band on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter X. Links to all of those, as always, will be in the show notes. If you haven't done so already, please be sure to subscribe to the Yo That's My Jawn podcast, wherever you get your podcast from. And guys, it is never too late to get yourself a super awesome Jawn Scout Merit Badge for citizenship of the world just by rating and reviewing us. Don't forget to visit www.yothat'smyjawn.com for the link tree with links to articles, merchandise, all of the previous episodes of this podcast, guest appearances on other pods, and more. And while you are there, please be sure to sign up for our mailing list to get all of the updates delivered straight into your inbox. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/YoThat'sMyJawn for updates and live streams. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter X at Yo That's My Jawn, and search Yo That's My Jawn on YouTube to find the Yo That's My Jawn YouTube channel. Like and subscribe the heck out of that ish. We want to hear from you. Reach out and touch some Jawn. We did it again. You are all champions in my book. Blue skies. Until next time, everybody.
Hey yo, displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure. Your taste in music doesn't have to be.
Yo That's My Jawn is a Lonely Monk production written and produced by yours truly, Nate Runkle. Theme song by Phil Tyler Music featuring Nate 3.0. Special thanks to Fox Run Brands, DX Ferris, Andrew Scott, Natalie Runkle, and the incredibly brilliant and wickedly stunning Katie Daubney. If you or anyone you know has any ideas they would like to share or any guests they would like to hear on the podcast, please feel free to reach out to us at yothat'smyjawn@gmail.com. Or you can leave an audio message for us and possibly hear yourself on a future episode by visiting anchor.fm/ytmj/message. Until next time, be sure to displace the guilt and embrace the pleasure and shout to the world, yo, that's my Jawn.